Hello friend, today we are going to discuss about APQP, that is Advanced Product Quality Planning. This is the third edition of APQP which published in 1st March 2024. In APQP third edition there are 5 chapters. That first chapter is plan and define, second is product design and development, third is process design and development, fourth is product and process validation, and fifth one is feedback assessment and corrective actions. Now we are going to discuss in details what is the forward of APQP third edition. Effective March 1st, 2024, APQP third edition and control plan reference manual replaces APQP and control plan second edition. Means in APQP third edition, control plan and APQP now split into separate manuals, and means APQP is a separate manual and control plan is a separate manual. Decoupling of the two will facilitate more timely updates as system evolve. Now, what is the forward? It means factor driving the needs for these updates. This is because of changes to other references and due diligence for APQP being strengthened to avoid pitfall from known risk factor. Next is application of APQP are changing to meet demands imposed by higher automations. And next is addition of a safe launch requirement, that is safe launch requirement to the production control plan to be applied in initial launch of mass production. And next is appropriate references to customer specific provided without the full text. Next is this manual is copyright by Ford, GM and Stellantis. All right, result 2024 means additional copy can be ordered from the AIAG at www.aiag.org. Organization purchasing APQP third edition have permission to copy any form or checklist contained herein. Now, CPOC diagram that illustrates the organization. The first is S is supplier and I is input, P is process and O is output and C is customer. Means your supplier external is external or internal, that is supplier. Input is that contains man, machine, material, methods that resources we are going to use, and process is that activities, means you are here, you are organization and you are the APQP process owner, that is process. Output is your product, and customer, your customer can be external or internal. Now supply chain depictions, that is tier of the organizations and supplier, their organizations and customers. Now first we can see organization. If your organization is OEM, your supplier will be tier 1 and tier of the organization is tier 0, that is OEM, and customer is consumer. Now next, if your organization is tier 1, then your supplier will be tier 2 and your tier of organization will be tier 1 and customer is will be, in case of tier 1 organization, customer will be OEM, and if your organization is tier 2, your supplier will be tier 3 and your customer will be tier 1. This is a reference manual. The visual above describe your organization within the planning process. It is important to understand your supplier and customer and input and output of each. Now, next is fundamental of advanced product quality planning, that is APQP. Now, there is a sum of benefits of product quality planning, that is to direct resources to satisfy the customer, to promote earlier identification of required changes, to increase first time quality in new part, and to provide a quality product on time at the lowest cost. Now, the purpose of this manual is to communicate to the organization, internal and external, and supplier standardize best practices for advanced product quality planning developed jointly by Ford, GM, and Stellantis. Now, next is purpose of this manual in benefits, means what are the benefits using this guideline. That included reduction in the complexity of product quality planning for the customer and organization, and stabilizing a common language and comprehensive process as a means for organization to early communicate with all parties involved. Now, next is the all checklist and form must be considered by APQP team. The purpose of product quality planning cycle is to emphasize upfront planning and act of implementation. Next is product quality planning responsibility. In product quality planning function will refer two types of organization. First is design responsible. In design responsible, all APQ chapters are apply and applicable. And not design responsible, manufacturing only or services. In that case, organization like heat, warehouse, transportation, and software uploading, etc. Some of the content of chapter 1 and 2 may not applied. Means design is not applied in this case. However, the organization should discuss with their customer the relevant outputs and documentation to ensure customer requirement are fully understood and met. Now next is why planning is required. Means to identify way to improve, continual improvements, contingency plannings, anticipated problem in advance, and reduction in future defects. Next is reduction in cycle time by upfront planning, and minimize cost of poor quality, do it first right, and on time outputs and mean for tracking and checking. Next is what gets in the way of planning. Lack of management commitment, personal egos, and ad hoc approaches, informal approaches, lack of team spirit, unclear priorities, lack of knowledge, unclear responsibility, unclear directions, and lack of faith in the system approach, non-competitive environments. Now, what is quality planning? Actually, quality planning in system approach to understand the customer requirement and to ensure that all requirements are full are met. Means we need to focus on to understand the customer requirement and ensure that our requirements are met. Next is what is APQP? APQP is Advanced Product Quality Planning. That is a structure approach or method of defining and stabilizing the steps necessary to assure that a product satisfies the customer. And what is the goal of APQP? The first is to facilitate communication with everyone involved. Second is assure that all required steps are completed in time. Next is APQP overview. In APQP overview, design quality reliability goals, that is plan and define, design details in product D&D, and process detail is in process D&D, and process control is in validation, and their output is feedback, assessment, and corrective actions. Next, 5 different phases of APQP. Now, customer requirement is as an input for phase 1, and in phase 1 is plan and define program, and their output will become for phase 2, that product design and development as an input, and phase 2 output will become for phase 3 as an input. Like phase 3 is process design and development. Phase 3 output that become the phase 4, that is as a input like product and process validation, and phase 4 output will be the uses as input of phase 5, that is feedback assessment and corrective action, and phase 5 output is common to all 4 processes. No. Next, when APQP appropriate for development of new product and incorporating major changes in existing products. Now next is 5 phases of APQP. That first is plan and define program. Second is product design and development. Third is process design and development. And fourth is product and process validation. And fifth is feedback assessment and corrective actions. Now, preparatory steps that define the scope. First, organize the team. When we are going to organize the team, a process owner for APQP organize cross-functional team or multidisciplinary teams, representatives from engineering, manufacturing, quality, material, sales, service, supplier, customer as appropriate. Now, next is phase 1. In phase 1, that is plan and define program. Phase 1, inputs of phase 1 is voice of the customer like market research, historical warranty, quality information, business plan, market strategy, product and process benchmark data, and product and process assumptions, and product reliability study, customer inputs like quality, cost, and target KPIs. Now, phase 1 output of phase 1 we come as a input of phase 2. Now phase 1 output is design goal, reliability and quality goals, preliminary bill of material, preliminary process approach, preliminary list of special product and process characteristic, and product assurance plan, capacity planning, leadership support, change management implementation, APQP program, matrices, and risk assessment mitigation plan. Now in phase 2, that is product design and development, phase 1 output become as a input of phase 2. Now phase 2 output will become the input for phase 3. Now phase 2 output is DFMEA, design for manufacturing and assembly and services, and design verification, design reviews, prototype build control plan, engineering drawings and engineering specifications, material specification, drawing and specification changes, new requirement, tooling facilitates requirements, special product and process characteristic, case testing equipment requirement, team facility, feasibility commitment and feasibility commitments and management supports. Now, for phase 3, that is process design and development. The output of phase 2 become as a we are going to use as a input of phase 3 thirds, and phase 3rd output become as a input for the phase 4. Now output of phase 3rd is that is packing standard and specification, product and process, quality system review, process flow chart, floor plan layout, PFMEA, pre-launch control plan, and process instructions, work standard, SOP, MSA, plan, preliminary process capability, study plan, and leadership support. Now, the in phase 4, that is process and product validation. The input of phase 4 is now phase 3rd output that we are going to use or become as an input of phase 4. Now phase 4 output that is become the input of phase 5. Now phase 4 output, that is significant production run, MSA, preliminary process capability study, production part approval, that is PPAP. Next is production validation testing, packaging evaluation, production control plan, quality planning, sign off, and leadership support. Now phase 5, that is feedback assessment and corrective action. The input of phase 4 the output of phase 4 that become the input of phase 5. Now phase 5 output is that is reduce variations and improve customer satisfaction, improve customer service and delivery, and effective use of lessons learned, best practices. Now next is the design FMEA checklist. This is the checklist. And next is design information checklist. Next is the engineering changes, engineering drawings, material specification checklist. Now next is the product quality planning checklist. What are the checklist? Different checklists. That is APQP risk factor checklist. That is design FMEA checklist, design information checklist, new equipment, tooling, test equipment checklist, product process quality checklist, floor plan checklist, process flow chart checklist, process PFMEA, that is FMEA checklist, change management checklist, source checklist, and next is control plan checklist. Now what is the gated management in APQP? That is gate 0, that is program concept, and gate 1 is a program approval, gate 2 will be the design feasibility, gate 3 is process feasibility, gate 4 is launch readiness, gate 5 is feedback assessment and corrective actions. Thank you very much. Please like and subscribe the content. Thank you. Thanks a lot.